money, 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 money. For that money, 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 money. That money, 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 money. Niggas turn on their brother. For that money, 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 money. That money, 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 money. For that money, 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 money.
So to start things off, why do people think money can't buy happiness? Why is that a current day sentiment that's in movies, music? I mean, it's the same as a prince waking a princess from her long slumber with true love's kiss.
There's obviously a couple reasons. One is if you feel like it's not possible for you to get any money, it sure is nice to be told that, hey, don't worry, because you wouldn't have any use for it.
Don't worry, the thing you don't have wouldn't help you.
Exactly, yeah.
Thanks, the cheesecake I can't eat on my diet was terrible.
Yeah.
Thanks for lying to me, Mom.
Yeah. There's a sour grapes phenomenon at play there. But,
actually, I like the sour grapes.
That's what you use to make wine. So, what people are usually, what they really mean when they say that money can't buy happiness is they mean that materialistic crap can't buy happiness. They mean that a golden Rolex isn't going to buy you happiness, and having 75-inch spinners on your freaking
on your Rolex.
Yeah. Having a 75-inch Rolex on your car isn't going to buy you happiness.
I'd rather cry in a Rolex car.
Yeah. I think it's kind of sad that people, they think that the purpose of money is to buy stupid crap. And once they realize that stupid crap won't make them happy, that's when they start to think, well, money can't make me happy. They don't realize there's lots of other stuff you can buy, but nobody's advertising that. Nobody is advertising all the things that you can buy that will make you happy.
Well, money didn't bring Dad back.
Not yet.
Yeah, depends on how much you're making.
Yeah. But, you make enough money, you can just pay someone
all of a sudden, you got lots of family members that come out once you start making a certain amount of money.
Yeah, there'll be people claiming that they're your father and they need some money.
Who wants to be my dad? And just start throwing money onto the audience.
Yeah.
That's the dystopian sad version of my life.
But to anyone who doubts that mindless bullcrap won't make you happy, all you have to look at is what's called the hedonic treadmill.
I don't use a real one, so why would I use that one?
But that's the only one anyone's running on. But basically all that is that the science and research shows that if you go out and buy some cool new thing, you get like a temporary buyer's high from that quickly fades away, and that just becomes your new normal.
420, dude, let's go buy something.
I actually experienced that firsthand, kind of, where, and I might have touched on this in the last episode, where when I bought my Monte Carlo, that gave me a massive boost in happiness because it was my first car. It opened all these new doors for me. It gave me all this new opportunity and ability that I didn't have before. So that was a real meaningful improvement to my life.
Bigger earning potential, freedom of movement.
I got the ability to go to school, to college. That Monte Carlo took me to college. That Monte Carlo took me to my first manufacturing job. That started a whole big old chain of events that got me here, But then when I hit a deer in Medina and I bought a Charger, I had like that temporary buyer's high. I was like on cloud 9 because I was like, man, this thing is so freaking cool. It's so much cooler than what I thought I would have at this age. Because that's partly just because I had a very cynical attitude about my financial future. But then I kind of noticed that maybe after owning it for a few months, that the magic was gone. And I couldn't explain it, and I thought a lot about it at the time.
Did you try having a baby with it? That's what fixes marriages.
Yeah. Me and the car started swinging. But
a desperate attempt to stay together.
But at the time, all I could think to myself was, I guess no car is as magical as your first car. I thought it's just a first car phenomenon that I was feeling, right?
I mean, it's partially true, but that just goes with nostalgia.
Oh, nostalgia.
Yeah, so I would say your first car can be slated under nostalgia.
I mean, what I think it was in hindsight, after I started studying a lot of the behavioral economic stuff, I realized that the Charger was objectively superior in every single way, but it didn't actually add any utility to my life at all. There wasn't a single new thing that I could do.
You were just maintaining the same opportunity.
Exactly. I used that car to drive at the same speed on the same roads to the same place. It could go faster, but I never did. You know,
You got speeding tickets just fine with your old car.
yeah, exactly. You know, the highest speed limit in America, I believe, is only 80 or 85, and that's out in the middle of the freaking desert, which we are very far from.
Yeah.
That's pretty far away. You know, so in Ohio...
Not if you're driving 85 the whole way there.
yeah. But yeah, in Ohio, I think the highest speed limit's probably 65. I don't think there's anywhere in the whole state.
No, there's at least a 70.
Is there?
For sure, yeah.
Well, and then, of
if you
course,
go out towards like Ashland, where you get to more like
the country areas,
small cities speckled in the countryside.
Yeah. What the rest of the country thinks all Ohio is.
Yeah. The rest of the country thinks Ohio is literally like
cornfields.
Yeah, Fieldville. Welcome to Corn Village in the middle of Fieldville.
Dude, what's funny is even the people from the South think that. Because I was cracking some jokes with one of these hillbillies I work with.
Some hick ass with 3 teeth is like chuckling on the front of his plantation porch.
Yeah.
Y'all just got a bunch of farms up there.
No, I was cracking some farmer jokes on him. And he goes, oh, so what? You're saying there's no farms from where you're at? I'll bet there is. I'm like, no, dude, there is no farming in Akron. There are no fucking farms in Akron or Cleveland. Everything is either urban or suburban. And he's like, oh, what about Barberton Chicken? I was like, well, that's like a restaurant, right? I don't think they farm them, do they?
Barberton is a style of how the chicken is cooked, not how it's raised.
Yeah.
There's no
I'm pretty sure they just
farms.
buy the fucking chickens.
Right, yeah.
Do you think they farm the KFC out back?
Yeah, the whole point of Barberton chicken is the fact that like the chicken skin when it's fried is made out of cornmeal.
Oh, I've never eaten there.
It's pretty good. Like Belgrade's is Barberton chicken. Millich's is Barberton chicken. Both of them are pretty good. Also, all the restaurants that were like born and bred in Barberton way cheaper.
Yeah.
So like you could go to a place like Millich's or Hopkins Garden, and they're always in weird locations. Like 3 out of 5 of like the original Barberton chicken places are like in someone's residential driveway.
Oh yeah.
And you go past their house. But
I've seen a couple places like that were strange. That you don't see that in Akron, where it's like half of this guy's house in the middle of what would be in Akron just a purely residential area is also a freaking business.
Yeah,
like there's like just no zoning laws in Barberton because they're just like please open a business here.
Please develop here.
Yeah, just do anything. But yeah, that guy, he had heard of Barberton chicken, so he thought we must have chicken farms. Like I think that there's a couple parts where there's like a couple rich people that have enough land that they own a couple horses.
Yeah,
it's like that ain't a farm. That's just a rich dude with some fucking horses.
Yeah, if you drive down Cleveland Maslin, there's a guy with like 2 alpacas and a horse.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's just some rich people bullshit.
Yeah.
You can own a fucking tiger in this
That's
state.
some white people bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, there was a guy who owned a bunch of bears. Remember that? I think they finally made him take them away, but it wasn't because it was against Ohio law. It's because the bears were malnourished or something. He just wasn't taking good enough care of them. So you can own bears, but apparently, that's a lot of food.
Yeah.
That's a lot of food. It's a lot of White House chicken.
This has nothing to do with anything, but I saw a picture on Facebook of this person. He's like, a mom fox got ran over by a car, and we found all her pups when we were stopped for the accident.
Oh, yeah?
So then we called somebody and scooped all the pups into our big truck, and somebody was like, those dogs are so cute, they almost look like foxes. I was like, son of a bitch, people.
That's
Pull it
funny.
together.
That dog kind of looks like a big fucking bear. That's a weird looking dog, man.
Yeah.
The bear dog?
Yeah, that's a big ass dog, dude.
But nothing about my life actually changed. And the cool points that the car gave me, that's worth nothing. You can't cash those in anywhere.
What? You can't. There's no bank you can cash in the respect of your peers at?
If there was, I'd be rich as fuck. But yeah, so that's how I experienced the hedonic treadmill firsthand long before I knew what the hell it was. When I started reading about it, everything clicked. I was like, oh, damn, that just makes perfect sense.
So it's essentially about diminished returns?
Yeah, if it doesn't add any real utility or meaning to your life, if it doesn't eliminate any stress from your life, then if it's not even novel, then it gets you nothing. You'll get a buyer's high that quickly fades away, except the buyer's high goes away in a couple months, and you're still making them car payments for 5 years if you have a 5-year loan on it.
Right.
I mean, I just bought mine, but still. Luckily, I did still buy the thing used. Luckily I didn't buy it new, so that saved me a lot of heartache. And at the time, Well, one of my goals was that, I was going to, I think around that point, I was going to Akron for engineering, and I had the goal of buying like a really expensive sport car. Like I want at least a Corvette, but maybe even a freaking Ferrari someday. That was a goal I had. It was a real goal. And I started reading about the hedonic treadmill and make sense of my past experiences, and that's when I realized that, well, wait a second, that means that if I go out and get the Corvette, the same thing's going to happen over again. It's not going to do anything for me. All of a sudden, this thing that I had been aspiring for like the past 5 years, I suddenly realized that I didn't want it anymore. And a lot of the things that I thought I wanted were materialistic things that I realized that, when I upgraded last time, that didn't really do anything for me. Why would it be any different next time? So I stopped wanting those things. Then I started thinking more and more about, what would make me happier? Like what could I buy that would make me happier? And a lot of it turned out to be experiences or just things that weren't that expensive. That was a really weird feeling to suddenly look at how much money would I need to make to be able to buy all the things that I actually want. And that number just got a lot lower all of a sudden. The second I realized that a Lamborghini and a castle isn't going to do anything for me, all of a sudden the amount of money that I need to achieve my ideal life just got really low. Now, when I tell people that, sometimes people are resistant to that concept, and one of those reasons is it's brand loyalty. And why are people loyal to brands? Like a lot of the car guys, if you already went out and you bought that Corvette, you bought that Camaro SS. I work with a lot of guys that have muscle cars. There's 2 guys that own Camaro SSs. There's like 5 fucking Challengers out there, man. One guy's got a Daytona edition. Another guy's got an RT with a supercharger slapped on it. You're talking a lot of money on that parking lot. Most of them are middle-aged dudes. Even though I can look at their lives and see that, this is just your new normal now, it didn't really improve your life, they'll deny it. They don't want to accept it. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Muscle cars used to be like a statement.
Right, so that's what brand loyalty is.
And they couldn't afford them back then.
That's what brand loyalty is really about. It's about how people shape their identities with brands and consumption. They buy things so that they can say something about themselves. That's why with a lot of advertising, all you gotta do is look at those Mac commercials. They didn't tell you shit about what the product did. They just said, I'm a Mac, he's a PC. If you buy a Mac, you're a cool guy. Remember those commercials with Justin Long?
Yeah, and then the PC was like, I'm sick all the time. I get viruses.
Yeah. Whereas they make the Mac
Actually,
guy.
I'm a PC and I don't need girls.
Yeah. My grandma's basement smells just fine.
Yeah, and I like the taste of cat piss in the morning. And it gets into some fucking GMC gremlin and it putts down the street. And then a group of cheerleaders laughs at him
while holding their fingers close together to symbolize that he has a small dick.
And then he said, I'm moving to Russia.
Because I hate this country. Yeah. But so the Mac commercials, they try to sell you an identity. The car commercials do the same damn thing, man. Think about them commercials with Matthew McConaughey rolling a booger in his fingers for some damn reason.
You ever feel like this booger's a little bit stronger than the last one? A little more fibrous. Maybe that's more nose hairs.
Yeah.
Heck, maybe I'm just getting older.
Yeah. They had all them weird commercials. Who was that? Lexus? I can't remember. Oh, Lincoln. Okay. Hey, I like Lincolns, but still, I don't like them because I want to be Matthew McConaughey.
You ever wish you could roll up a booger and put it underneath your seat, and it wouldn't stick to the seat, at least for not that long of a period?
Because that's
all right.
So some of the other commercials you can think about, like the pick-em-up truck commercials, and a lot of those, actually the whole Dodge brand, really, I say that as a guy who owns one still.
It can carry a whole lot of shit.
You're a hard-working man, so you need a truck that's hard, just like you.
Well, you're missing the sound of steel stamping over and over again.
I
heard you're a man. Clank.
Yeah.
A real man. Clank.
Yeah. And then I think the Ford variant of that is they just keep talking about freedom.
Yeah.
And then they show a guy like doing fucking donuts out in the middle of the desert off the road, going around like the most curviest fucking road in all of America up some mountain pass.
Yeah.
It's like, you are never going to do that, dude. You're driving a fucking Dairy Queen and back is what you're doing.
An eagle sees him in the distance, cries one single tear. It goes into an American microbrewery, and he pulls out a bottle of beer at a cookout and hands it to his friend who's making steaks, and they both like point and laugh at their wives.
And then they shotgun a communist.
Yeah. Well, they both one-handed cock a shotgun, shoot it into the air.
Yep. But yeah, so brand loyalty is all about identities, and then people are very attached to their identities. So if I attack a product that you spent a lot of money on because you were trying to say something about your identity subconsciously without realizing it, well, now I'm attacking your identity, and that means you need to defend it and go, oh no, you're just a hater, man. You don't know what you're talking about. Scientists can't tell me what makes me happy, man. Fuck you.
It sounds an awful lot like Morty.
That's what you get a lot of. It's
what do you mean, Rick? I like Lexus.
Yeah, and so being attached to products because you're trying to use consumption to shape your identity, it's really shallow. It's really sad. You need to try to find a way to define yourself that's not defined by, I'm the guy who bought this stuff. Think about the insane irony of consumer rebellion, where I'm going to go to the store that sells the punk rock clothes so that I can show everybody how much I hate the man.
Yeah.
It's like, who do you think sold you those clothes, buddy? The man.
Yeah.
You went to a store in a mall. Like, I guarantee you that whoever's selling like the freaking punk rock style clothes, the goth clothes, whoever owns Levi's also owns that. You know.
You ever wish you could roll up a booger and and wipe it on a pair of trip pants?
But so you got to ask yourself, what's the real cost of this brand loyalty? You know, if my identity is this shallow construction consisting of nothing more than a list of products that I choose to buy, should I keep doing this?
Yeah.
Should I try to maybe do some soul searching and think, is there something more to me than just a guy who buys a list of fucking products? You know, I'm the guy
The
who
answer
buys...
is no.
No, it's not. Keep
Give
doing what
up.
you're doing. End podcast.
Yeah.
Roll credits. But so, yeah, another thing is they call that post-decisional dissonance, which I know is a goddamn mouthful. But dissonance is just the uncomfortable feeling your brain gets when you have like a conflicting thought of, on one hand, I've never made a mistake in my life. On the other hand, that sounds a lot like a mistake I made. You know, and those two conflicting thoughts create a psychological discomfort called dissonance. It's a bad feeling that you want to go away, and so one way you can make it go away really quick is by attacking whoever's making you think about it, by saying, oh, fuck you, dude, you're just a fucking hater, eat shit and die. Or by coming up with some kooky rationalization to where, well, I can see how that's true for everybody else, but I'm the exception. Yeah. It's clear. It's pretty obvious that that's the case with everybody else, just not me, though. And everybody else in the room is thinking that same exact thought.
Right.
You know?
Everybody's the hero of their own story.
Yeah. And we're all the exception, and we're all above normal. Like, there's that statistic that showed that something like 90% of Americans say that they're above average drivers. When obviously mathematically that doesn't make any goddamn sense at all. Yeah. On average, people are average. You know, we can't all be above average.
Well, I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm just 99th percentile.
Yeah. So if you come to terms with that the fact that your materialistic crap isn't going to make you happier, you are not what you buy. Your clothes aren't who you are. It's just a costume. None of that shit matters. Well, now what?
I am FUBU.
Yeah. For us, by us. Yeah. Well, the first thing you should do to increase your happiness in life is removing stress. So if we go back to the vehicles, going back from some vehicle that is like a piece of shit that causes you lots of stress in your life because you don't know that, oh, it could break down at any moment. I might not make it to work. I could lose my job. Everybody's going to laugh at me. Getting rid of that piece of shit for something that's reliable is a really good investment.
Right.
That will cause a permanent increase in your happiness by removing all that stress and anxiety. But then going from a car that's perfectly fine to another car that's perfectly fine is just fucking shinier, that doesn't do anything. That's where the hedonic treadmill comes in. Similarly, if you move from a dangerous neighborhood to a safe neighborhood, that's going to give you a permanent boost in happiness. You know, you don't have to deal with gangbangers and drive-bys and shit, right? Well, if you move from your perfectly nice middle-class neighborhood to just a more expensive neighborhood where you get to brag to your friends that, yeah, I live in the expensive area that you can't afford. Am I cool yet? That doesn't do
I
anything
live in
for you.
Hudson instead of Bath.
Exactly, yeah. If you're around here, that's Hudson instead of Bath, where there isn't actually anything different there. There's no different opportunities available. It's not any safer. It's not any more fun, per se. You know, that doesn't do anything for you. You'll get a temporary buyer's high from your giant McMansion. If your house is too small for your family and you've got like 3 kids in 1 bedroom, then moving to a bigger house will make you happy.
Right.
But if you have a house that has the adequate number of bedrooms for your family size, and you're saying that that's not enough, you probably just have a bunch of dumb bullshit that you need to throw away.
Yeah.
You know, get rid of a lot of your useless crap. And
2 broken chairs in your basement.
So yeah, removing stress from your life, an unreliable car, a bad neighborhood, then stress from bills. If you have a really expensive car or a really expensive house, you'll likely be a lot happier without it. You'll actually be happier if you probably downsize to something that doesn't push you to your financial edge. I'll know a lot of guys who have those expensive ass things and they're always stressed out about bills. They're always bitching about bills to anyone that gives them the chance to listen to them. Then you look at what their bills are, and it's stupid bullshit that they don't need. A freaking Ferrari and a McMansion. Or it could just be a $30,000 car instead of a $10,000 car. So,
You know, I was like kind of testing the waters around with people at my work and in my life about how financially well do they feel like they are, and where they see themselves and their excuse for why they're not there. And then I was also, you know, kind of plugging the podcast, but because I will do that. But
$1 has been deposited into your account.
So a lot of times what I found out is people are paying way too much for monthly services on like things they don't use, like streaming services and devices. They're paying insurance for things that don't need insurance, and for things that do need insurance, they're paying way too much and they never shopped around for rates. And when we're talking about people who make under $40K a year, paying an extra $200 for your car insurance every month is staggering.
Yeah. And actually, if you kind of think about it, there's a cumulative disadvantage to, okay, you buy a brand new car, you thought it was going to make you happier. It's stressing you out because of the bills. Also, you've paid so much money for this thing that's so nice that now you're stressed out about, well, what if it gets scratched? What if it gets hit? Now you're that guy, Terry, at our last job at Spiral, where he was parking on the other side of the freaking parking lot because he was so scared of his truck getting a scratch on it. That's more anxiety that's added to your life of, oh no, what if something bad happens to this thing that I'm spending a ridiculous amount of money on?
Yeah.
So then, to give you a little bit of peace of mind on that, you go out and buy the super expensive car insurance. So now you've got more stress from the damn bills. Or you could be like me. You bought a used car nearly 8 years ago for $12,000. Could have spent less, but today that thing's probably worth $5,000, I believe, when I blue booked it. If that fucking thing blows up, I could just go buy another one. There's so much peace of mind knowing that actually this thing don't mean shit to me anymore.
Yeah, I have no stress about my current car. My first week that when I moved to Florida, my first week I got hit and run. I just didn't even really care.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, obviously, safety-wise, I cared. The fact that the guy didn't stop, the fact that, you know, his insurance didn't pay for the damage he caused on my car, whatever. But there's some things you can't change.
You know, you just made me think about when I had my Monte Carlo and I was going to, I think I was at Stark State at this point. I came out to the parking lot and there was a white scratch on it. Somebody had hit my car. And since that was my first car and I spent all my money on it, even though it was only $2,000, but I was working in Kmart when I bought it. I was just so pissed, dude. I was out there screaming. Then I wiped the paint off and they left their paint on my car. My car was fine, but I was still angry. You know, it just made me so mad because this is the nicest thing I've ever owned. It was the most expensive thing I had ever owned. You know, I grew up poor, so this $2,000 car, it was really freaking nice for a $2,000 car, you know, because it was a grandma car, as I mentioned in the last episode. And so I just loved the damn thing.
You gotta keep it nice so I can wreck your mirror with my dad's van.
Oh, I forgot about that. Holy shit, I forgot about that, dude. Yeah. So, okay.
I think I distinctly remember you saying, look out for my car, and I said, I think we're good. And then I slid on the ice and it went...
No, that's not what happened. Okay, so what happened was we were going up we were going to go watch Alan Cox and then go to Dave & Buster's. and there was a bunch of us in your dad's van, and we were just being loud and rowdy, and we were distracting you. And it was dark on the street, and I had that black car.
Oh yeah,
and
it was black.
I could feel that you were swinging kind of wide. And so because you felt like you were coming out kind of wide, I was like, hey, make sure you look out for bang!
Crunch.
And here's the thing. You hit it in the fucking spot where I had already just gotten it fixed. Because the winter before that, I slid off the road and hit a sign because I was driving through a freaking blizzard. And so I left it that way for a while, finally got it redone. I think I might have had it for a month, and then you hit it in the same fucking spot. And at that time, I was like, man, I ain't fixing that shit again. But at that point I could just relax. I was like, fuck it, I don't care anymore. And so I just relaxed, Then when I got my Charger, I was kind of back to where I was like, oh god, I hope something bad happen to this. It's the nicest thing I've ever owned. Then this guy had a hit and run on my back corner, and I was just insanely pissed about it. But then I just kind of I accepted it. And after that, I just didn't give any shits anymore. In fact, I didn't even replace that tail light for years, even though I had way more than enough money. It was only $30. I was just on principle. I was like, I replaced the light.
At the time.
I didn't replace the housing, the plastic housing for it. I just left it for the longest time. It was like a statement to me. I was making a statement about this is how little of a fuck I give anymore, And one day I was at the gas station, and the wind blew so hard it yanked the door out of my hand and made it smack one of them cement things, put a giant ass dent near the side of the door, like near the very end of the door. And I just laughed. I was just laughing. It's like, holy shit, really? Wow. Caught me off guard. I just didn't care anymore. And hell, it's not even like it's an ugly car. I still get compliments. It's got all these scratches and bangs on it, and I still get compliments. But I'm like, yeah, man, this thing could literally blow up, and I'll just go buy another one because it's only worth $5,000 now. So I'm not going to stress over it. And my life is so much happier having a car that's not that expensive for where I'm at. My life is just so much better not giving a shit about it. So you can remove stress from your life by not buying something, or by downgrading, or just letting it get old. That's what happened to me. I didn't downgrade, but I just let it get old so that I didn't have to give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
And then another way you can remove a lot of stress from your life is by getting rid of your shitty job, by doing something that's called semi-retirement or early retirement. You can invest your money so aggressively that you retire early, and we can do a whole entire episode about how that's possible. That's possible off of a middle-class job. They have a thing called barista fire, where baristas find a way to retire early through a lot of minimalism. So depending on how minimalistic you want to be, well, you say, look, I don't want to be a minimalist. Okay, then you just got to get a middle-class job, and you can retire to a middle-class life. But then there's another option that's even easier than that, that's called semi-retirement. And this is one this should be an easy sell. A lot of people, they hear me start talking about the early retirement thing, they tune out. They say, I can never afford that. I'm not going to be able to have what you have.
We're not living in the same world, man.
Yeah. The area I live in is more expensive than your area. Okay, to that guy I say, well, then fucking move. But so there's the thing called semi-retirement, where what you do is, let's say you got a job right now where you make a middle-class wage, but like most people, you don't like it. The fucking job sucks, because that's why they pay you, because if it was fun, it wouldn't get paid well, right? Let's suppose you invest enough money into stocks, real estate, or a small business of some kind that you're not making enough to retire, but you don't need to make as much from your normal job as you did before. Let's say you want to make $50,000 a year. That's your goal number for your areas, to say that's what I need to be comfortable, right? Well, if you can invest enough of your money that you're getting $25,000 a year from your investments, well, now you can quit that job you hate and get a job that only pays $25,000 a year, but you actually like it. You could be working for a non-profit company and doing some meaningful work that you really enjoy.
You can make about $30,000 a year at a non-profit.
Yeah.
30 to $40,000, I think, is the median non-profit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And so here's another example.
Profit, by the way, not profit.
So here's another example. Think about this, right? Actors. When some actor moves out to Hollywood, their fantasy is, I want to be in like these little independent films that are artsy-fartsy, but they don't make any money. I want to do theater plays that nobody goes to see because that's my passion. What I don't want to do is star in a fucking diarrhea commercial, but guess what actually paid my bills?
Imodium.
Yeah. Every time you're looking at some commercial and there's some girl in there selling you tampons, diarrhea medicine, antipsychotics, you know, trying to get you to sue somebody, that was not their dream when they moved out to LA.
A car that you can roll your boogers on.
Yeah. Some girl from the Midwest somewhere moves out to LA with stars in her eyes, and she was the best in the drama class at her little no-name school, and her parents were like, yeah, you're going to be kissing Leonardo DiCaprio before you know it. And then the first time
she's kissing something.
Yeah, the first time she gets a job, it's, how do I live with chronic diarrhea? It's easy with this drug.
Now with Valsalitrex, I can fucking not give my whole family herpes. I've only burned 3 houses down since I've been taking Malsitrex.
And also, if you look at the porn industry, that's often just entirely based around exploiting young girls who, they went to Hollywood because they wanted to be an actress, and they couldn't make it. Their soul got crushed by all these casting directors that every time they went to a casting audition, it was, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you don't have it, whatever it is, you know?
Let me see you spin around, toots.
Yeah, the next thing you know, their self-esteem has been crushed. Is it surprised that they'll develop a substance addiction to make themselves feel better because their soul is being crushed and their dreams are being crushed by this
daily?
This industry that just chews people up and spits people out. So the next thing you know, they're doing drugs. Now they need money for the drugs, and a guy comes up and says, hey, you want to get naked on camera? Well, imagine if for a second you already had a lot of investment money when you went out there. You're making, $20,000 a year or whatever from your investments. Now you can do those little theater productions that don't pay shit. You'll be fine, those theater gigs. A lot of times, if you look at the people who are doing that, where they get these really small audiences for that, like, community theater type stuff, they love what they're doing. They love the people that they work with. They love the tiny little audience that they get, but they don't make shit. It's not enough to pay the bills, and so that's why they need to be a barista on the side or whatever. Well, imagine if you made enough money from your investments that you're just covering the gap.
Yeah, you're just subsidizing your wages.
Yeah, now you can do that job that doesn't pay well, but you really freaking enjoy it without compromising at all. You don't have to do the diarrhea commercial. You don't have to shoot porn. You don't have to be a fucking barista. You can actually just do the job that you like. And that's what they call semi-retirement.
You might as well do the diarrhea commercial. I mean, you're already there.
Hey, it sounds like fun.
Yeah.
But so...
Sorry, I'm right now I'm getting like heartburn from you. I need diarrhea, Rachel.
Have you ever had diarrhea, Rachel?
I kind of don't believe you even have a digestive tract, Rachel. Or like they go too far, they're like, ooh, and it's like, okay, bring it back, Titanic.
Yeah. What if you've got like some passion that it's a seasonal
art.
job? Yeah, art. Or what about like you could be a scuba instructor? That's got to be a very seasonal job. Probably doesn't pay a shit ton of money. You could be a tour guide or something. You could
a Sherpa, like mountain guide.
Yeah, you could probably like.
It sounds obscure, but I actually have a few friends who do that, so that's very specific.
Dude, my friend James dated this girl whose job is adventurer. I'm like, what?
She just slams the compass down on the table and she's like, I said I'm an adventurer.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is that? And he showed me. He's like, yeah, dude, she went to like some university out in like Arizona or something. She has a degree that's like in adventuring, like a bachelor's or a master's in it or something.
This is how you pick a skull lock that's in the bottom of a cavern.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is that? What does she do? And apparently her job is to take like a bunch of like really high paid executives from corporations and stuff, and as like a team building exercise, like she takes them like mountain climbing and out into the wilderness and like whitewater rafting and stuff. Like, this sounds like the best fucking job ever, dude. Are you shitting me? Your job is to like take people on vacations and also experience the vacation with them?
Right.
That's awesome. That's fucking crazy. And you know what? It's usually the more fun it is, the less it probably pays. Right. So I'm just going to assume she don't make shit. But hey, if you invest your money enough to get passive income from your investments, you don't need to make shit now. You just need to cover the gap between the low-paying job and the middle-class job.
Right.
And that's it. And that's a much smaller goal. That's a smaller target. You could just work less hours.
Yeah.
If you cut your bills down, you could quit working the damn overtime. If you get a bunch of investment income, you could try switching to part-time. Get to spend more time with your family and stuff.
There's no way you could really be that angry or depressed if you only have to work 24 hours a week or less.
Yeah. They're oftentimes some of the best employees the organization will have, too. Like, yeah, he's only here part of the time, but he kicks ass when he does, when he's here.
There's no fatigue because he only works here 2 days a week.
Yeah, he's not exhausted and he's not in a bad mood. He's enthusiastic.
And he wants to be here because he can pick any part-time job.
Yeah. A lot of times what it'll be is you get enough money from your investments to cover your living expenses. And your living expenses are low because you own a used car with no payments, and you own a reasonable sized home or apartment that is very low payments. And so now the amount of money that you need to have investment just to cover your living expenses is also quite low, which means whatever money you do get from your job, that's your spending money. That's all fun money. That's the money that you use to live the life that you want to live. So yeah, that's a huge way that you can buy happiness. That's what you're literally buying happiness when you do that.
Before you get into something new, I'd also like to mention that, like, from like an outside looking in perspective, from somebody who has a 9-to-5, they're going to be too scared to take that jump because it's so far from what's considered normal. Yeah. But they have to understand that what's also considered normal is being poor. Yeah. Being poor is normal.
Average people do average things and get average results. Look at the average result. Look at the people that are older than you.
If you want something you never had, you're going to have to do something you've never done.
Yeah. Unusual people do unusual things and get unusual results, for better or worse. It would be very unusual to run around Central Park naked with a cantaloupe on my head, beating people with a bamboo stick, and I would get a very unusual punishment for that. So again,
or response. I feel like that's something strangely like a feminist group might rally behind.
Yeah, so for better or worse, unusual people do unusual things and get unusual results. Well, being semi-retired, that's unusual. So you're going to need to do an unusual thing, which is you're going to need to downsize a home, or if you're already in a reasonable priced home, just stay there even as your income increases. Don't allow yourself to experience what they call lifestyle inflation.
A lot of people are just like paying way too much for their apartment. I'm like, dude, you're in a 900 square foot apartment. Yeah. Why are you paying almost $1,200 a month?
Well, my tenants aren't going to pay that much, but I was about to say, yeah, they're called my tenants. But yeah, I take pride. I literally take pride in the fact that my tenants have nicer cars than me, because that shows how dedicated I am to what I'm doing, and then that I'm kicking ass at it. That it's like, you rent from me. I own the house you live in, and yet for some silly reason you drive a car that costs more than mine. How does that make any sense? Of course, I'm never going to say that
Here's
to them.
Here's a jar of my piss, now drink it.
But I'm never going to say that to them because I don't want them to rethink their actions. I want them to just keep giving me money.
Right.
And of course, we can do a whole episode about real estate some other time. We could probably do a couple episodes.
Well, yeah, I was thinking we could do an episode on real estate and an episode on, like, specifically just for car buying and why. Because we talk about getting cheaper cars, used cars. We haven't explained anything about depreciation or why you get certain things.
We can do that on the episode that's all dedicated to ways you can save money. But yeah, so removal of stress, making it so that you have to work less. One of the benefits to making it so that you have to work less isn't just that now I spend less time at the job I hate, so I have less stress and anxiety due to that. But then there's the next thing that the science shows increases your happiness, and that's novelty seeking, or just getting experiences.
Like one of the experience of rolling a booger.
One of the best bang for your buck in terms of happiness is traveling. The data continually shows that traveling gives people a massive happiness boost for the cost. And traveling doesn't have to be as expensive as people think it is.
Right.
You don't need to go to Paris. You don't need to go to Paris during the peak freaking season. So travel's a big one, but so is hobbies. You can boost your happiness by just experiencing new things. It doesn't have to be traveling across the world.
Go to one of those, like, wine and paint nights somewhere. Yeah, you could kind of like paint by numbers, or you could paint on your own, and then you just drink with friends.
You could do one of those community things where they'll have like the pottery class type deal.
Yeah, I've done one of those.
Yeah, you don't need to say, well, I don't plan on becoming a master pottery guy. It's just a fun way to spend one afternoon doing something unique.
I did one where I made a clay tiki mask, and then we fired it up, and then we came later and picked up our tiki, and then we painted it.
Yeah. Think about all the crazy conventions there are. Do something that you think doesn't fit your identity, because it might be fun.
No matter where you are, there's probably a major city within 40 miles, and they have conventions daily.
So yeah, novelty seeking. You know, we could go on so long about that. You get to make an effort just to look into like what stuff to do.
Sometimes you have to make an effort to not pick up a hobby. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but toot. Like, I sculpt, I draw, I paint, you know, and I've done a little bit of almost everything I can think of, you know, till something else pops up and I'm like, oh, I gotta try that.
So yeah, so novelty seeking, you can go on and on about that. That's a huge thing. Experiences, that's the way that money can buy happiness. It's got a much higher return than materialistic possessions do. And there's just lots and lots of science about that. So if anybody doubts me, just Google it. Just Google experiences versus material things. And you can see research that's going back 50 years.
But dude, you could say anything on the internet.
Yeah. Research from peer-reviewed medical and psychological journals and economics journals. Then another thing you can do to buy happiness after that is killing tedium, which is basically just buying more life. And one of the ways you can do that is through delegation of just all of the tedious crap in your life that you don't enjoy. Or maybe you don't have to hate it, but you'd rather do something else. And so I got a bunch of numbers here.
7, 11, 42.
These are indeed numbers. And that is all. But, okay, so here's one. In the last episode, we talked about the self-driving car briefly. A quick Google search says that the average American spends a little less than an hour driving a day. And it averages out to be about, well, if you look at the amount of driving that's over the course of the average American's life, that came out to be 2.5 years of your life spent driving. If you don't enjoy that, then that means that buying a self-driving car can get you 2.5 years of your life back. Because while your car is driving you around, you could do something else that you enjoy more, even if it's just watching a TV
or you just
show.
Pick up smoking.
And if in lieu of the self-driving car, like honestly, if those weren't coming out, one of my goals would be invest enough money so that in addition to all my other expenses that I plan to be able to afford, my passive income from my investments can also afford to pay someone to drive me around for me. Luckily, self-driving cars will make it to where I don't need
Mr.
that.
Brown, your car is ready.
Exactly, yeah. How much do I need to invest to have the money to buy that? Luckily, self-driving cars will make it so that you don't need that. But in the meantime, just looking for a job that is closer to you. If there are jobs close to you.
We're not living in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, move closer to the job. You know, if you drive an hour one way and so you move a half hour closer, well, that's 1 hour a day of your life that you're getting back. If you work 5 days a week, that's 5 hours a week. You know how much stuff you can get done in 5 hours a week?
How many people complain that they're tired because they didn't get enough sleep, or they're complaining because there's not enough time in a day to do something?
Yeah, or they'll say, how do you have time to see all these movies?
How do you have time to play these games? How do you have time to read this book?
Yeah. When do you find the time for all that stuff? It's like, well, by not driving an extra half hour each way, I've got an extra 5 hours a week to do that stuff.
By not watching commercials.
Yeah, that's another one. Skip out on the commercials by either streaming, torrenting, whatever you got to do. Buy the freaking DVDs, buy the Blu-rays.
It's your time. They don't give a shit about your time.
Yeah.
You save it however you have to.
So another source of tedium is housework. I looked it up and it said that the average American spends about 7 hours a week on housework, which includes cleaning, mowing your lawn, fixing stuff. It includes a lot of different stuff. And it did say that women did more. So it was something like, maybe women did like 8 hours or something and the men only did 4, something like that. I don't remember. But it averaged it out to 7 hours a week. Which if you add that up, you could expect that to be probably around 2.5 years of your life spent doing housework. Well, a lot of these house cleaners, at least in our area, they're only making $10 an hour. So if you make more than $10 an hour, it does make more sense to say, I'm going to pay you to clean my house for an hour, and then I'm just going to work 1 hour of overtime. And if I worked that 1 hour overtime, even if we made the same, if I can work 1 hour of overtime while you clean my house for me, I just made $15. So that means I got my house cleaned and I made $5. Now imagine that I can pay 3 women $10 an hour each to clean my entire house in 1 hour. That means I paid $30 to have 3 women knock out 3 hours of work in 1 hour. Can I make more than $30 in 3 hours? Then grocery shopping. I looked it up and said the average American spends 60 hours grocery shopping a year. Well, with Amazon, That's knocking out a lot of grocery shopping. It's coming to my door. And then also with DoorDash. I've used them a few times now.
I have too. Just recently started using them.
Yeah, they're going to the store for me because shopping is boring. Getting my groceries is boring. Waiting in the line at the freaking store is boring. Driving there is boring. So pay them to do that for me. They don't make very much money. So if you work for DoorDash...
A lot of stores have curbside pickup.
Yeah?
You pre-order your groceries, and then they have them out. They bring out a cart at a certain time.
Wow, I haven't tried that.
Walmart and Target both do it.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't tried that yet.
And they said that Acme and Giant Eagle, which are going to be, like, a lot of people won't know what these are. They're local.
Yeah.
But they're
local
like
chain grocery stores.
Yeah, they're local chain grocery stores, and they do it now too.
Yeah.
You go online, you just fill some stuff out, and you pay with your card,
That's
and then
cool.
you just roll up, and they put all the bags in your car.
Yeah. So yeah, that's if you did that, you could potentially get a half a year of life back. You could buy it back a half a year of your life. That's a half a year of your life that you won't spend grocery shopping. Then
Over your entire life, or
Yeah.
every year?
No, over your entire life, because obviously you don't spend half the year shopping.
Yeah.
Another one is prepping food, cooking it, and cleaning it. They say that the average American spends 37 minutes a day. That's 225 hours a year, which should come out to be around 9.3 days per year, which is 563 days every 60 years, which should be about 1.5 years of your life spent prepping food, cooking it, and then cleaning up everything. Now, if you actually enjoy that stuff, hey, keep doing it. Cooking can be a hobby.
Yeah.
But also, not every meal
And
is
also
fun.
makes you feel good providing and, like, cooking stuff for people.
Yeah, if that's your thing, I'm not going to tell you to stop it. But if it's not your thing,
Then I'm going to tell you to stop it right
exactly, I am going to tell you to stop it, because if it's not your thing, then that means it's work. That means
Yeah.
it's tedium that you're not enjoying. Go ahead and eliminate that. You can pay a culinary arts student, freaking $10 an hour, maybe $12, depending on your area. These people have no money. They're broke college kids just like everybody else. They're working at Walmart, but they're going to college to get a culinary arts degree. We live in a college town. Maybe other people are far away from it. But if you live in a college town like us, where the minimum wage is also very low, you can pay a culinary arts student to come to your house and cook you a meal for dirt freaking cheap. Not only are they going to cook for you, but they're going to do a much better job than you if it's not your thing. So they're going to cook you some badass food. And you could tell them to cook me a full week's worth and then keep a bunch of it in your fridge and eat the leftovers the whole week.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say meal prep would save you time. And it's like, but do you want to go through the process of meal prepping? Do you want to make, 5 pounds of rice
Yeah.
out one batch at a time?
Yeah.
Do you want to sit there and boil like 12 chicken breasts?
Yeah.
Like,
And so if I have to cook my own food, it's extremely basic shit. I'm making a plain salmon fillet and a plain beef liver. And that's actually the only thing I cook. Scrambled eggs is the other one.
I mean, I derive a little bit of pleasure from cooking depending on what it is.
Yeah.
I think I just like things that are very customizable, like chili. Like, you can make a giant pot, goes a long way.
I like experimenting with the food, but once I've cracked the recipe, I've experimented a lot with hot sauce recipes, but once I kind of figure it out, it's like, well, now replicating this is now work. The study, the experimentation part, that part's fun, but
Right.
the just replication part, that's the part that's work.
It's no longer a new experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a novelty anymore. Learning how to cook something new and experimenting with different ways to make it, that falls under novelty seeking. But just making the thing that you already know you like the way you like it, that's just tedium now. So yeah, that can give you 1.5 years of your life back. Just pay somebody else to do that for you. And there's ways to pay someone to do it that's cheaper than actually getting fast food. It's cheaper than going to a restaurant. So the cooking, the driving, the housework, the grocery shopping, so far that's totaled up to 7 years of your life. But that's also waking hours. A real day for you, because you have to sleep, a real day is really about 16 hours. So 7 years of waking hours, since you sleep for 30% of your day, that's really kind of like 9.1 real years, Because if I said you've got 7.1 years
Of waking
of
life.
being awake, let's go ahead and add in that 30% of sleep that you're spreading throughout it. That's 9.1 years. So if you can find ways to eliminate these things, you can basically buy yourself an extra decade of life nearly. And consider this, you're not buying that at the end. A lot of times when people talk about living to be older, you know, when they say, hey, you'll get more life if you eat healthy, people say, well, what I want to be 110
it's
for?
immediate return on investment.
Yeah, this is youth. This is time that's while you're still young or middle-aged or whatever, at an age where you're getting a lot of value out of that time. You're extending your youth. You're going to be 20 longer. You're going to be 30 longer, in a sense. And then, of course, lastly, if you can retire at 40, well, that's 20 fucking years. So let's say you do all that shit and then you invest your money so aggressively that you retire at 40. Now you just basically added 30 years to your life. And those are high quality years. You didn't add 30 dinosaur, 1 foot in the grave years. You're a senile person. Those are 30 years of youth. 30 years of I can do stuff and have fun. And that's buying happiness. So the idea there is you're creating your life actively instead of being created by your life. You're planning ahead of, I want to live this lifestyle. I want to engineer this life. How much money do I need to have in passive income to make that possible? People with more money are happier. Of course, you got to use it right. People be quick to point out those exceptions, like, well, Britney Spears shaving her head because she doesn't want to be pretty anymore or whatever. It's like, yeah, well, what was she using her money on?
Well, more importantly, what were her parents using her money on?
Yeah. Every time somebody provides an example of, I know a rich guy and he's sad, it's like, well, then he's not using it right. He's probably just using it on stupid materialistic bullcrap.
Plus, you can still be emotionally broken and rich.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you could still have issues with IQ and EQ. You could still not know how to process your own emotions, but also be flush on cash.
Yeah, it helps if you're not an idiot.
Yeah.
Also,
as with most things.
Also, wealthy people can afford therapy. They can afford therapy for their kids, and that works. So that you can expect them to have less issues on average if they actually use their money towards that. If you're rich and you say, yeah, therapy will make me happier and resolve my issues, but I'm not going to do it. Yeah. Okay, well then yes, then you failed to buy happiness. You actually got to go to the fucking store where they're selling it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically it. You avoid materialistic crap because of the hedonic treadmill. You eliminate stress and anxiety from your life. Then you start seeking out novelties. Then you start killing tedium so that you can have more time to seek out novelties. And if you do that, you've just bought happiness. And a lot of that doesn't cost as much as you think. You can do that off of a middle-class income. Like I said, if you do the semi-retirement, the amount of money you need to have invested to get just $20,000 a year isn't actually that much, especially if you say that's going to be my goal over the next 5 years or so. If you don't make a lot of money, you make it your new goal over the next 10 years. It's worth pursuing even if it's going to take you that long. It's worth pursuing if it's going to take you 20 fucking years just to get enough passive income from your investments that you can quit that job you hate and work a job that you really, really like, but it doesn't pay as much. Then,
well, I mean, the alternative is being grumpy and spending 30 years in hell instead of 10.
Yeah, and that's all I got. That's how you buy happiness.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully a lot of people take some of these things to heart. I mean, obviously not every one of these points is for every single person.
Yeah.
But everything that we brought up, we made a point to make it obtainable even by people who are not in a good way.
Well, what I think is really funny is that if you can convince somebody to pursue semi-retirement and then they dedicate themselves to that task, they might end up being really shocked about how much progress they were able to make and how quick they were able to make it. And so now they don't pursue semi-retirement anymore.
They pursue
the full fucking blown deal, early retirement. That's kind of what happened to me, man. I was really, really surprised by how quick I was able to gain net worth.
So in the future, we're going to talk about ways to retire early.
Save money on lots of random stuff.
The exact type of accounts you should be investing in.
And I think that's it.
Okay. Be sure to like us on all of our social media and, leave us a comment. How are you receiving this financial advice? How are you receiving this life advice? Are we funny? Are we stupid? Let us know.
Money, 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 money. For that money, 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 money. That money, 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 money.